GearNetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
Rock Soldiers, thank you for joining us once again on All Bets Are Off podcast. This is Robbie Vegas, as always, and today we have a special episode, somebody you've all heard a lot about, but haven't heard from. That's right, I'm talking about Maddie Vegas. She's in the house, and we are going to be talking about the whole set of Scream movies, actually. And this is fun, because now we're revisiting all the Scream movies, all four of them, and don't worry, we're not going to go through all four of them from start to finish, but Maddie is not a horror movie fan. So... we're going to be going through this from her perspective. Me as somebody who loves the whole series, and she just saw them all for the first time. So we're going to kind of go through, and this is going to be our first of 2 Halloween episodes on All Bets Are Off. So let's get started. So, Maddie, thank you.
Thank
you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Are you nervous?
I am.
You're doing great. So we're going to talk about Scream.
Okay.
You just watched all 4.
I did.
In a single weekend.
I sure did.
And you're not a horror movie fan.
I'm not at all.
But you made it.
I did. I made it through. It was a little rough at times, but I made it. I did it.
Hello?
Oh, Stu. What's your motive? Billy's got one. The police are on their way. What are you gonna tell them?
Peer pressure. I'm far too sensitive.
I'm gonna rip you up, you bitch! Just like your fucking mother!
You gotta find me first, you pansy-ass mama's boy!
Fuck! Fucking hit me with the phone, dick! Fuck around!
Well, first question then. Did you find this series scary?
Yes, in certain times I did, yeah.
Yeah?
A lot of it was predictable, but yeah, I was scared at some points, I think.
You think you were?
I think.
So, me being the big horror fan that I am, and you being the horror not fan, I love this series, obviously. Can you see why I love it, or were you just too not about the horror movie genre to think that they were good?
No, I think this gave me a better understanding why you like horror movies so much.
Are you at a loss for words?
Yeah.
Because they were so good.
There were so many of them, and they were all different, but also very similar. And I was trying to remember which movie was which.
Well, I'm going to break them down with you right now. We're not going to go through the whole movies, like I said. The cool thing about doing this, though, is that we're going to revisit it from 2 different points of view. Me, who's seen them all a million times, and you saw for the first time, and see how the movies hold up, because obviously the first 3 especially are not very new. This is kind of going to gauge for our listeners how these movies hold up to first-time watchers.
Okay.
So the first one, Billy and Stu are the killers. Mm-hmm. Did you see that coming?
No, and I think that was my least favorite one.
Really?
The first one. Yeah.
Wow, I was going to ask you to rank them all. So okay, so that one you put last.
I didn't see that coming, and I don't know, I think the movie led in a different direction and then kind of came out with a different outcome of what I thought. So maybe that's why it wasn't my favorite. But
so you didn't like being caught completely off guard?
No. I like having a little bit of an idea. I like to guess. Okay.
So we know the basis of the first Scream movie is that Sidney's boyfriend is Billy. Mm-hmm. And Billy ends up being the killer with his best friend Stu. Mm-hmm. After faking being killed, of course.
Right.
At the big party that they always have.
Right.
But see, I like this movie because it breaks down the slasher genre and it teaches you the rules of why slashers go the way slashers go. If you remember the scene where Randy's in the living room and he's talking about the rules to a horror movie, never say I'll be right back.
Right.
Gotta be a virgin. Don't do drugs, things like that. Did you, as somebody who's never really watched horror movies before, did you find that interesting? That there's a formula to a horror movie? That they all seem to go that way? At least the slashers?
No, I think I understood that before I watched all of them, but I still don't watch horror movies, so it didn't really matter to me.
Do you find Ghostface to be scary?
No, I think he's more funny now. Maybe when it was happening, it was probably terrifying, but... no, I think now it's just such an icon. It's such a costume. You see it every Halloween.
Do you think the scary movies that made fun of Scream ruined Ghostface as being scary?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Scary movie was not scary. I kind of got lost with those, actually.
Because you thought that they were supposed to be.
Yeah. I thought they were supposed to actually be a scary movie, and they weren't.
Right.
So that's kind of a letdown. Yeah. You took that title and just... took it away.
And then they kind of just made fun of Scream.
Right.
And, of course, all the other...
Right.
You know, I Know What You Did Last Summer and all that stuff.
Right.
Did you find Scream 1 to have any jump scares, or were you just trying to figure out who the killer was the whole time?
Yeah, I think I had a couple jumpy moments. I can't depict when, but I definitely think I had a couple of those throughout all 4, actually. Mm-hmm. I'm a pussy.
So now we get through the first one, and we're going to borrow a little theme here from my friends over at the Horror Virgin podcast. Shout out to Todd, who, of course, we interviewed. You were sitting here when that happened.
Hey, Todd.
We're going to borrow a theme from them. They do the scary scale every time they watch a movie. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you rank Scream 1?
I don't know, maybe like a 5 to 7.
Would you watch it again?
Yeah, I'd watch it again. Now I know what's coming. But the scarier stuff I think is more stuff that I feel could happen in real life, or is a little more gory or something like that. But, yeah, probably like a 5 or a 6.
Well, before we move on to Scream 2, what did you think of the cast of Scream 1? Did you like the characters with, Gail Weathers obviously being Courtney Cox? I know you watch Friends. Mm-hmm. David Arquette being Dewey. Mm-hmm. Skeet Ulrich is Billy. Matthew Lillard was Stu.
I do
Nev
like
Campbell.
the cast, and I like that they kept a lot of the same people.
Throughout the series.
Throughout the series of them, yeah. I don't like when they do a series and then change up all the people and you're like, who's that? Or who is that supposed to be? Or the last guy was better, or, that kind of thing.
And do you have a favorite character from Scream 1? We're going to do this for all 4.
Sydney's just badass.
Yeah, you like her. She's a survivor girl.
She's a survivor girl. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You gotta like the winner,
Yeah. In the horror movie genre, there's always a survivor girl. And I think Sydney, in my opinion, might be one of the most iconic ones, if not the most iconic one of all time.
I agree. From what I know.
You saw all 4. Okay. And was there a character that you didn't care for that you think the movie could have done without? And there was funny moments.
Who was the girl in the last one?
I'm talking about Scream 1.
Oh.
We're going to go one by one.
Oh, right. Okay.
Was there a character that stands out in Scream 1 that you didn't care for?
I don't know. The Billy and Stu combo didn't do it for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wasn't thrilled with them.
They're my favorite.
No, they didn't do it for me.
No? Would you have liked it better if it was just one or the other?
Yes.
Yeah, why?
I don't know. You shouldn't have an accomplice. If you're going to do it, just do it. I don't know. Kill me.
Okay, fair. So we're going to move on to Scream 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna blame the movies. It's pretty cool, huh? It hasn't been done before. You see, this is just the beginning, a prelude to the trial. That's where the real fun is, because these days it's all about the trial. Can't you see it? The effects of cinema violence on society. I'll get Dershowitz or Cochran to represent me. Bob Dole on the witness stand in my defense. Hell, the Christian Coalition will pay my legal fees. It's airtight, Sid. I'm an innocent victim.
You're psychotic.
Yeah, well, shh. That'll be our little secret. These people love a good
This was
trial.
Sydney in college.
Okay.
And this is, again, pretty good cast. They introduced Jerry O'Connell. I can't remember the actor's name off the top of my head, who is Mickey, but he now is in the Santa Clarita Diet with Drew Barrymore, who also, by the way, quick flashback to Scream 1, biggest star in the movie, died in 10 minutes.
Died in the first 15 minutes.
You must have been caught off guard by that.
I was, actually. And I I knew she was in Scream 1, but I never realized how fast she died in the movie. But,
And she even at that time, she was the biggest star, because nobody else in that movie was actually a star but her. Everybody was still up and coming at that time.
right.
Maybe Courtney Cox wasn't, but
Yeah, maybe. I hated her hair, though, in all of the movies.
Courtney Cox.
Yeah. Who's doing her hair?
Is that scary?
No. yes, in that sense. Who's doing her hair? Can somebody help her?
We can ask her.
The bangs. Which one did she have the bangs in?
3.
3, yeah. I think there's a meme about that.
There is.
When you feel like you're having a bad day, remember Courtney Cox's bangs in Scream 3?
And she responded. She said, wow, what the fuck?
Well, who's doing your hair? I rest my case. I like her overall, but
You do?
yeah,
From Friends?
from everything.
Yeah.
I just think she's great.
Okay.
But she could use a stylist. I
And
don't
of
know.
course, she was the reporter / book writer Gail Weathers
Right.
in all 4.
Right. But that's like my role. So don't steal that. Gail.
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 All right, part 2. We're moving on to Scream 2.
Okay.
So Scream 2...
This is college, right?
Yep, takes
Okay.
place in college. We see Randy come back. We see Sydney come back. Gail and Dewey. Of course, we know that everybody else from part 1 didn't make it.
Uh-huh.
So what did you think of this one? Where would you rank this in the 4? So this was the one where Sydney was in the college play. Her boyfriend was the doctor. She was trying to pledge for the fraternity. Or, I'm sorry, she wasn't. Her friend was, and they were trying to convince her. Sarah Michelle
The cotton
Gellar.
guy?
Cotton was now free because he was
Right.
no longer.
Yeah.
Yep. Remember, in the first one, he was wrongfully accused by Sydney of being the murderer who killed her mother. Then we find out it was actually Billy and Stu, so he's free in the second one, and he wants his 15 minutes of fame, and he wants to make money, and he wants Sydney to help him. And they're on the college campus.
So Drew Barrymore was supposed to be the mom?
No, she was one of the students that went to school with them.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were just saying that Billy and Stu killed her in the first one.
Yes, that was the backstory. We don't actually see that.
I'm I don't remember that.
No, we don't see that. We just hear about it through the whole series.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
I know we overwhelmed you with all 4 of them, so.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
This is, remember at the end when she hits Mickey in the eye with her necklace, and
yeah.
Billy's mom was
And she still wears the necklace after that.
She does.
I was very impressed by that. She took it off and used it as a weapon, and then she put it back on, and I was like, wow, no blood or anything? No?
Right, you see it again in Scream 3.
Yeah, she's got it. So, cool. Oh, yeah, that's when the boyfriend's hanging from the stage.
Yes.
And she finds out he is innocent.
Right,
But
because...
she used the necklace he gave her to,
you got
tear
it.
shit up. Okay, yeah.
And in this one, of course, Dewey is walking with his limp because of nerve damage from the first movie, stabbing.
Right.
And we have Randy
The
actually.
hand.
Yep, the hand. Randy gets murdered.
Right.
Which was sad for me because Randy was one of my favorite characters.
Randy.
Yeah,
What a
Jamie
loss.
Kennedy. Favorite character from the second one. You're just going to roll with her for the whole thing.
I do like her. At first, I gotta say, I thought the boyfriend was guilty too.
Jerry O'Connell, who played the boyfriend.
The boyfriend.
Is that because of the scene where he gets cut perfectly with no nerve damage and he's the surgeon?
Right, yeah.
A medical student?
Yes, now it's coming back, yeah. I thought he was guilty the whole time.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Did you know there was going to be 2 killers again?
No.
Okay.
But now I kind of expected it from the first one, so. I had no idea that it'd be that reporter girl. At first, I thought it was Gail.
They did do a good job of making it seem like Gail could be.
Yeah.
And of course, that reporter ended up being Billy's mom.
Right, yeah, right. Makes sense.
So you're rolling with Sydney as your favorite character?
Yeah, I liked her. And the boyfriend kind of felt bad for him at the end, but his necklace did justice. I don't know.
Yes. So I've heard people say that the necklace, how she used the necklace on Mickey's face to get away from him and, survive, basically,
right,
was a little bit silly. Do you think it was silly, or do you think that that was a thing that could actually happen?
No, I think it's a thing that could actually happen. When you're in that position and you don't have anything else on you to use, you think of whatever you have, and I didn't think that was stupid.
I, for one, think that would really hurt.
Yeah. I mean, if I had a good, size ring on or something and just, scratched your eyes out.
Right, yeah, right, exactly.
Or, came at you in any way with that, yeah, that would be, I don't know.
And did you find this one to have a lot of jump scares, too?
Yeah, probably about the same as the first one. I kind of expected it at that point, but there were definitely a couple times that got me, and I was like, shit.
And it's fair to say, too, that before me and you really didn't watch a whole lot of this genre at all. And now you've pretty much gotten 10 to 15 movies under your belt.
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah. I definitely haven't. I mean, I watched some when I was a kid with, my cousins and stuff, but I never really got into them. Everyone else wanted to watch scary movies. I was like, I'm all set. I'm good.
Now we find ourselves on Scream 2. Are you finding yourself to be becoming more of a fan, or are you okay with it at this point? Or are you still scared that we're going through all these movies?
No, I think the Scream movies were good. I got through that.
So even after the second one, you were still okay?
Yeah, I was kind of anxious to see the rest of them then. That's how they played out. But when it gets into, like I said, more, that's not the kind of scary stuff I mean, yes, it is. You never want somebody to, show up at your house and call you and then try and kill you from the outside. But,
yeah, I'd say that's pretty realistic.
Yeah, that's pretty realistic. It is, in that sense. But, I mean, because it was done so many times, it's that's not the first thing you're thinking of, I guess. Or I'm not thinking of, at least.
Do you tend to be more afraid of, ghosts?
Maybe a little, but also, don't call me from outside. If you're going to do it, just come in. Don't call me from outside and tell me that you're here. So
we talked about the first 2 so far. Before I get to your scary scale for the second one, I do want to go back and say that the first one was released in December of 1996. It had a budget of $15 million, and the box office ended up being $173 million.
Wow.
For 1996, that's quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
And Scream 2, that was released in December of 97, so it was a year later, almost to the day. And that had a budget of $24 million, and it grossed $172.4 million.
Less than the first one.
Yeah, just slightly. just slightly. And had a bigger budget, too. More names, too, because we saw Sarah Michelle Gellar, who, of course, at the time was famous for being Buffy, was murdered in the fraternity house, of course.
Right.
And in this one, we know that the killer is trying to kill people with similar names to the people in the first one. So we start to find out who knows what happened in the first one. Which is why it started to make sense that it could be Gail, because she wrote the book. So she knew how it all went down.
Yeah, that was part of why we thought Gail was the murderer.
So, scary scale, 1 through 10. What do you give part 2?
I'm still gonna say probably like a 6 or 7.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, you said that the first one was your least favorite. Where does this one rank?
I liked that one.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think I liked 2, 3, 4 better than 1. I don't know why. I don't know why 1... Maybe because I was just getting used to it, and I was kind of like seeing how, you know, it was going to be written and all of that. But I don't know. 1 just, it wasn't as intriguing as the others, I guess.
Oh, okay. That's actually a rare opinion on these movies, to rank 1 as the last one.
Not the last one, maybe, but it just wasn't.
You said it was your least favorite.
Yeah, but it just didn't give me what I thought I was going to be scared about, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. So now, we move on to Scream 3.
I shot you.
I guess we think alike.
Mother's dead. There's nothing you can do about that. I still got to make my movie.
Step 3, right?
This one came out in February of 2000. So it's 3 years after. And this one had a budget of $40 million. And it grossed box office of $161.8 million. So still a little less. But this franchise is making bank.
Right. Yeah. They are not hurting.
Now, originally this was thought to be a trilogy. So this was going to be the last one for a very, very long time. This was supposed to just be the end of a trilogy. So this one we see we're in Hollywood. Of course, we know that within the Scream movies, they're making fun of the Scream movies by making Stab.
Right.
So Stab was based on the real-life story that happened in Woodsboro, right? So,
which that always confused me, by the way, too. I know that I've probably seen one of these movies at some point, like I said, with my cousins back when we were young, and I never made it through the whole movie, so I think every time, I would see it on TV or something would come on, and I'm like, I would see the Stab part of Scream and not understand why the characters were different between Stab and Scream. And I'm like, no, that's not Scream, like on the TV. And they're like, yes, it is. Like, it's showing the Stab movie. And I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. So I never realized that they were putting on a movie inside of a movie, and that never really,
So it all comes together for you now.
Yeah, it all came together once I watched it all.
Did you, just to backtrack quickly, since we're talking about Stab, Jada Pinkett Smith gets stabbed to death in the theater during Stab and Scream 2 at the very beginning.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Did you think that was realistic? Do you think that that's something that could happen?
Well,
without people realizing by the time?
I've never been to a movie that's been that rowdy before, so I mean, I guess it could, and with everybody like having the fake costumes on, the fake knives and all that stuff. Yeah, I think that could possibly happen. That's always a scary thought.
Was that a gruesome scene for you? The way that happened?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that one.
I think it's very graphic.
It was very graphic. I could have done without that scene, but poor boyfriend went to look for her and everything.
He was in the bathroom.
I thought he went to look for her.
He scared her in the hallway.
Oh, right. Yeah. See, they were around each other. Yeah, movie theaters are just in general are kind of creepy.
That is true.
You know, you always see like the creepy scene at the movie theater, and then you're like, wow, here I am. This could be it.
Did you like how they were parodying with the Stab movies within the movie, or did that?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
That was cool. Yeah, once I understood what was happening, I was like, oh, well.
I think it's interesting. Keeps it interesting, because stuff like that does happen in real life.
Right.
You know, and they make a movie about it. You never really think of how the victims feel.
Right.
And obviously Sydney did not enjoy this.
No.
So.
No, Sydney was not happy about this.
Right. So, in part 3, we're making Stab 3.
Uh-huh.
And so we're in Hollywood.
Wasn't it in part 4? Wasn't it like Stab 7?
Yeah, it's in part 4.
Why did we go so far? How did we go so far?
We'll get there.
Okay, great.
We'll get there. So in Stab 3, they're making... in Scream 3, they're making Stab 3.
Right.
So we're in Hollywood, and we know that Sydney's been in hiding. She's in like a witness protection type deal. She works from home.
Right, yep. And then he finds her.
Right. So in this movie, now when people are starting to be killed, they're being killed in the order that they're being killed in the Stab movie.
Right.
So the plot, that's pretty much the whole plot of this, is they're going to kill them off as the characters in order. What did you think about that? Was that creative? Did you not like it? Where are you ranking part 3?
The bangs were really bad. They were really bad. I think I had a haircut like that once when I was like 12 and like my bangs got cut too short and maybe I'm just scarred. So I'm like, it's a personal thing, but.
So you on a scale of 1 to 10, you were 10 afraid of Courtney Cox bangs.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, girl, if you hear this. I got friends that do hair. Call me. But yeah, I mean, I don't think the order of what they were being killed in played anything for me. Like, it was just sort of, okay, now we're following that. You know, I feel like every movie had their own little thing that they were trying to get to or follow or change it up one from the other. But that I didn't take anything out of that, really.
I personally liked that the set that they were on looked like the original Woodsboro. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was
cool. The way
cool.
that they did that. Because now it's like a throwback.
Was that the one where she walked back into her own room and it was just that? Yeah, that was weird.
Pretty cool.
And then, didn't she jump out the window or get thrown out the window of that?
Yep.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yep.
That reminded me of another show. A different show did a set like that and showed them in a set. Like, it was supposed to be shown.
Like a movie within a movie.
Right, yeah, yeah. And that kind of reminded me of that, but I liked the way they did that. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. And in this one, too, of course, we learn more backstory as always. So it does revolve around Sydney's mother again. This time, they're finding out that she was an actress in Hollywood, never told anybody. Some really bad things happened to her, and she tried to block out that part of her life. Who did you think the killer was?
This is still 3?
Yeah.
I don't know. I always felt like Gail was guilty. Just, it was the bangs. But,
That's two movies in a row. You thought it was Gail.
I thought the cotton guy had something to do with it.
No, you thought that in part 2. Cotton dies in like the first 10 minutes of part 1. Or I mean part 3, sorry.
Okay, yeah. Okay, 3.
3 is the Hollywood set, which I think that was the one that you thought the cop did it. Because he was so eager to meet Sydney. The actual cop. Dewey was kind of helping out on set. He was the bodyguard for the girl that played Gail.
What's his name? He's McDreamy.
Yeah, that guy. What was his name?
Oh my God, Patrick Dempsey?
Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, it was Patrick Dempsey. You're right.
Let me go.
So you thought Patrick Dempsey was the killer the whole time?
I did think he was. Number 3, yeah. I'm screwing up, like, which ones were...
Well, we watched them all in a row, like back to back to back to back. So to you, it was a 6-hour movie.
It was, yeah. It just was one whole movie. So I'm just trying to put it all together.
I was upset when Cotton died because I thought he was a great character. I liked what he played in part 2. He was a little pushy and kind of aggravated, but he also went to jail for a year for something he didn't do.
Yeah.
But overall, he was just like, hey, kind of give me the rub here because you screwed me over a little bit. But he was still kind of a nice guy.
Yeah, he was. I think Patrick Dempsey he was sketchy.
You know what was interesting?
He definitely made me wonder.
He was, but in part 3, what got me was the killer had a voice changer where he was sounding like the other characters instead of just the normal.
Yeah. How messed up would that be?
Right. So you get a phone call from Sydney, it wasn't really Sydney. You get a phone call from Gail, it's not really Gail.
Yeah.
So that was a game changer for part 3.
That was a game changer.
Yeah.
And that would be a shame. Hey, come over to my house, and it's really not who you're thinking it is.
I thought this one was really well done. I think the backstory was pretty disturbing, which of course in trilogies you got to try and get a cut above the other ones. No pun intended. I like how they brought Randy back in a cameo just because he made a tape to teach them what trilogies are really like.
Yeah, okay.
The murders were a little more brutal.
Yes. Is this... Oh, no, that was number 4, I think.
This is all revolving around the movie set, and the ending takes place in the mansion. And he goes in the basement with all the fake coffin and the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the secret room, the screen room.
Yeah, okay. I didn't like how he opened the coffin and it wasn't him, and then he was in there.
And then he got in and faked his death.
Right.
And we're talking about Roman, who was the director of Stab 3.
I do like the name Roman.
I know you do. It was the director of Stab 3 within the movie, was also Sydney's half-brother that she did not know she had.
Right.
Because of some sketchy things that went down in Hollywood with her mother.
Right.
And we find out that he's upset because he was rejected by Maureen when he found her, and he's the one who talked Billy and Stu into murdering her in the first place, which set all of this stuff in motion.
Okay.
So, jump scares still, or were you used to it by now?
No, I definitely had some.
Yeah.
I also was yelling at the TV when Roman went in the basement. I was like, you never go in the basement. He was drinking champagne, like walking down the stairs. And I'm like, okay, that part I get. But you don't go in the basement and you never split up. What are these people doing? You don't split up.
And now, where does this one rank for you?
Was this the part where Dewey left Gal and was like, you take the gun, and like,
yes,
he went off, and I'm like, what are you gonna do now? Like, you just think because you're a cop you're like a badass and like you can just, I don't know,
and of
kill
course,
everyone with your hands when he's got a knife. I don't know, it just seems.
And there was fake Gale, who was played by Parker Posey, who was from Dazed and Confused.
Yeah. Fake Gale.
She was playing Gale and Stab.
Yeah,
there was that.
They were together.
They were.
She died.
Yes.
She did.
And there's that weird girl that I think you also thought might have been the killer, who was playing Sydney in the movie, who was super strange throughout the whole part 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was strange too. I don't know, I was really convinced about the cop in the beginning.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be champagne drinking guy, but...
Were you expecting 2 murderers again?
No.
No? You thought this was going to be just one?
Yeah, I thought people were going to get it together.
Okay. The jump scares were still there, so you're still not becoming... what's the word I'm looking for?
Acclimated?
Yeah, to horror films.
No.
Okay. So
No.
scale of 1 to 10, is this ranked with the rest?
It wasn't like this wasn't like a scary movie where I was putting my face behind a pillow. Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't have those kind of jumps. I had a lot of those with Halloween, but not so much with Scream.
And you're talking about the new Halloween that I forced you to go theaters and see.
Well, yeah, but I got through it. I watched a lot of it.
You did good. My arm was a little black and blue. So the third one, where's that rank for you?
Nah, it wasn't bad. I'd probably go 2, 3, 1.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I liked that by the third one there was some depth to it. You knew what was going on. There were some characters that you knew. Like in the first one, I'm like, who are you? And why are... I don't know. But...
Yep. And of course, like I said, for me anyways, it was a darker movie. I thought the whole plot behind it was darker and twisted.
Yeah, it was a little more twisted than the others. I agree.
So your scary scale is staying between 5 and 7?
Yeah. I don't think we've reached higher than that.
Got it. Well, let's move on to Scream 4. How about that?
Okay. I have a lot to say about that.
So Scream 4.
That's how it's gonna be, Sid? The ending of the movie was supposed to be at the house. I mean, this is just silly. Consider this an alternate ending. You're never gonna get out of this, Jill. Of course I will. Dewey! Sid. Easy. Okay, wait. What about the book? Looks like I'll just have to write it myself. Damn it! Oh. Don't even think about shooting, or I'll blow Dewey's head off. What, you think I won't do it? Give me your gun!
Comes out in April of 2011. So that's why they were up to Stab 7, because this came out 11 years after Scream 3. Because Scream was supposed to just be a trilogy. This movie had a $40 million budget. Box office only...
Why? All the movies were so similar. Like, what was the need for that big of a budget?
I'm going to assume more well-known actors. I really don't know.
Maybe. That probably was it, actually.
Here's the thing, though. Part 4, box office, only grossed $97.1 million. So this is actually the lowest grossing box office.
But they're also making the same movie over and over. Different characters, different scenarios, but same movie at the end. Like, there's still 2 killers. There's still... Every time, you know, people are over it. You know, you're not keeping the same people. You kept the same Sydney, which was good, because if that changed, I would have been out. You know, I wouldn't have probably been interested.
In part 4, we do see Sydney, Dewey, and Gale all come back.
Right.
Sydney's now an author.
Right.
She wrote a book called Out of Darkness, because obviously she'd gone through these murders, and 11 years have gone by, and she'd been free. She comes back to Woodsboro to do a signing at a bookstore, and the murders start again, right?
Right.
So you said you have a lot to say about this one. So I'm going to kind of let you take the floor for a second.
I didn't care for the ending. And the kid, what was his name? The other killer.
Charlie.
Yeah. He and, what's her name? Hayden Panettiere, I think. I really thought that she was, like, going to save him at the end. Like, I really thought she was going to have his back and they were going to get out of there. Or, like, a killer was going to come up behind her when she was trying to untie him from the chair. I did not expect him to stab her. I did not see that coming.
Right, because you had a huge crush on her for the entire movie.
Right, right.
What was her name in the movie? It was Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby.
You said her real name was Hayden.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
right, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming either the first time I saw
Did
it.
not see that coming. And then to throw, like, the other girl in at the end that was, like, obsessed with her cousin.
Jill.
Like, Sydney's cousin.
Jill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That was weird. She also did not play that part very well, in my opinion. I think she's played a lot of good parts in different movies, but I think this was not her calling. I was not intimidated by her. I was not... I don't know. I think the way Sydney looked at her was more intimidating than any of the things that Jill was doing to Sydney. So, I don't know. It was just... It didn't do it for me. Thought it was kind of crazy. Like, I understood, like, her wanting to be the legend and whatever, and her name to be remembered, whatever. But, I don't know. We could have stopped at Charlie.
Yeah, okay.
Like, he was enough, you know, going around.
Now, this Scream takes a more modern twist because now we're seeing the killer using more technology. So he's filming the murders.
Right.
We're seeing webcams. We're seeing more texting, more cell phones, of course, things like that. Did you think that was a good thing? Or do you think it took away from the movie?
No, I don't think it took away from it. Like I said, the last three had their own twist on it anyway. So, I don't know. Maybe that was just the twist for the fourth one.
All bets are off. No pun intended.
That didn't do anything for me, really. That wasn't a factor.
And of course, we get the continuous love story within the horror movie of Gail and Dewey. Now we see that they're married. They've been married since the third one. Because at the end, he proposes at the end of the third one, right? So they're still married. And now...
I thought that was the end of the fourth one.
No. They
tied the knot?
They tied the knot.
They did the thing?
And then, of course, she's trying to be a fiction writer because we all know.
Oh, right.
And now she wants to get back into catching this killer because she feels that this is her calling. Dewey doesn't like it. So we got the love story inside the horror movie, as always.
And they both die, don't they?
No. Same three survivors. Sydney, Gail, and Dewey always. And the lady cop who had a crush on Dewey.
Oh,
which was weird. That part, like...
Oh, no, the other Gail died. The fake Gail.
The fake Gail died in part 3, yeah. No, in part 4, though, I didn't like how that lady cop was, like, all over Dewey. I thought that was just a pointless part to the movie.
I agree. Yeah.
It didn't really do anything. All she was put there to do was to drive a wedge between Dewey and Gail so that they wouldn't team up and catch the killer faster because they have all this experience of doing this together.
Right.
So her role was basically to make sure that they didn't crack the case too quickly.
Right.
Because they had to be bickering the whole time.
Right, yeah.
Which I could have done without.
Yeah.
You know, but that's just me. So, of course, like you said, Charlie ends up being the killer with Jill, who is Sydney's cousin, who is jealous that everybody knows Sydney and not her.
Yeah.
So she ends up killing Charlie.
Yeah. Jill was not my favorite character.
Yeah.
I think, okay, you killed Charlie. That was stupid. As soon as she did that, I was like, why? And now, you know, I thought they were going to be some, like, powerful team, and Sydney was finally going to die, and I'm like, oh, shit, Sydney. But even the scene in the hospital after that.
The very end.
Yeah. None of that would have happened. Like, where were all the nurses when all of that was going on? Especially on an ICU floor.
Right.
So these are the things that I'm thinking about as the movie's going on. Where are the nurses?
You're right, because
how did she rip that IV out of her arm so easily?
As soon as Sydney's heart monitor flatlined, they would have come running.
Right.
And I don't say flatlined because she was dying, because she was unhooked from it.
Right, yeah.
So, but they would have come running down the hall.
But also Jill, like, she was in a room.
Right.
And she ripped all the stuff out of her arm
and
to
walked
go and
through
get
the hospital.
Yeah, like... Okay, who's supervising you? So that part, like, by the end of it, I was like, oh, okay. So, 4 was, okay, so maybe 1 is in third place. Okay. We'll go with that.
So I feel like your scary scale on this one is lower than the other 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would it be?
Like a 4.
Less jump scares too?
Yeah.
Because you were expecting.
Yeah.
Now, did you know they were going to go back to 2 killers this time, since Roman was 1?
I kind of expected at this point. But,
who did you think it was? Did you peg Charlie and Jill?
I did not peg Charlie and Jill.
Okay.
I didn't really even, like, Jill was impartial to me. Like, I didn't even think of that at all, and, like, maybe that's why they did it, but she didn't play a very good killer. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
The craziest part of that movie with her was when she was throwing herself around the house to make it look like she was injured.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that would have really hurt. You probably would have been a lot more messed up than what she was, but...
I remember thinking that it was Trevor, the boyfriend, because I thought it was going to be a throwback to the first one.
Oh, yeah.
And I also thought that Charlie, because nobody would have saw that coming.
Trevor was the other kid in the house that said he just went upstairs to get Jill, and then he wasn't up there. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was the boyfriend. I thought it was Trevor, too. But when it turned out to be Charlie, I was, like, content with it being one killer again. Mm-hmm. and it wasn't. So,
And he played such like a nerdy, like geeky guy
quiet,
that you wouldn't expect it to be, but you kind of would expect it to be,
Right.
really. Okay, so we just talked about all 4. That was your scary scale. Did I do the budget for? I did.
I think 2, 3, 1, 4.
Okay, I'm gonna give my ranking 2. I'm gonna say 1, 2, 4, and 3.
You didn't like 3.
I love this whole franchise. So tell me this: would you watch them all again,
I would watch them all again,
including 4?
including 4, to try and see things that I didn't see the first time. I like to do that with movies in general.
You're trying to pick up on the clues.
Yeah, like I don't mind seeing them a second time to pick up on things that I didn't notice the first time.
Okay.
Yeah, or different clues, things like that. So
So now you finished all 4.
I did.
Are you becoming a horror movie fan?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed, but like very slowly.
Okay. So we'd have to introduce you to maybe more slashers first. Things that
Yeah.
are similar to Scream.
Yeah, like I mean, I've seen like
I Know What You Did Last Summer?
I've seen like Jigsaw and things like that. That I don't like. I don't like Saw. I don't like watching people cut their own ankles off and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that stuff is the stuff I don't want to see. But when it has a storyline like the Scream movies did, I think that, that'd be more of a horror movie that I can get into.
Okay. I'm not a fan of the Saw movies myself. That's an unpopular opinion in the horror community, but I just think that they're a little ridiculous, especially the farther they get.
Yeah, they went real far, and like sitting in a room being like locked up and like having to cut each other's limbs off, or I don't know, end your wife's life or whatever they do. I don't know. It just seems
Get the key out from behind your eye.
Yeah.
Stupid things like that.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
cutting stomachs open to get keys and like stuff like that.
Okay.
It just wasn't. That's the kind of stuff I don't
Okay.
care for.
So, Scream 1 is like one of my favorite movies in the history of movies.
I do.
So it broke my heart a little that you don't like it.
That's okay. I'm sorry. I don't mean it.
You just said that's okay.
I mean, to each their own, right? It's just an opinion.
No, I agree. But now, as a non-horror movie fan, here's a couple questions for you. Mm-hmm. Now, just give me your first answer. Don't think about this. Is Jaws a horror movie?
No.
Why? This is a popular debate in the horror community. That's why I'm asking.
You said give me your first answer. If I think about it, then I can maybe see where you're coming from. But no, when I first saw Jaws, I did not think that at all. But it was scary. Mm-hmm. I would say it's more of like a thriller than a horror movie.
Okay, fair. Is Godzilla a horror movie?
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Okay, fair. No opinion on that one.
What about Twister? See, that's same effect, same fear in me when I watch Jaws and when I watch Twister. So that's why I don't think it's a horror movie. I think it's thriller. I think it's a fearful, suspenseful movie, but I don't think it's a horror movie.
Okay, fair. All right. I think we're going to have to do this again with more horror movies with you in the future. And
Do I have to watch Godzilla now?
No. We'll agree on the next one. I think me, you, and Chaz are going to do Fright Night.
Okay.
And we've started that one, and you've been doing okay with it. We still have to finish it, though.
I have done okay so far with that.
We have to have him watch it, too, because
Okay.
he is a new horror fan. You are not a horror fan, and I am the biggest horror fan.
Right.
So the three of us together talking about these movies should be pretty interesting.
Cool.
So that'll be an upcoming episode. We'll probably start with Fright Night.
Sounds good.
It won't be a Halloween thing, obviously, because Halloween will be over by then. But
Well,
that's what this podcast is. It's whatever we want.
whatever you want.
Whatever I want.
All bets are off.
Well, Maddie Vegas, thank you for joining us on the All Bets Are Off podcast. Did you have a good time?
Thank you for having me. Yeah,
Yeah? Did your nerves subside?
a little bit.
What was your scary scale?
8.
Do you think you'll be more equipped next time?
I will.
Yeah.
I'll be prepared, and I might have a notepad.
Oh, actually, that's not a bad idea. Maybe next time, instead of shooting from the hip about watching 4 movies in a row.
Well, I had to have you remind me. I mean,
No, I know.
I watched them all back to back, and it was just one big blur of Scream.
Well, this is the first movie review I've done, too. So maybe I should have been taking notes along with you, and we could have done something with that. So maybe we'll do that next time. We'll have him take notes, too.
All right.
Yeah?
Sure.
All right.
All right. All right.
I'm leaving that in. All right. So thank you for joining us on the All Bets Are Off podcast. And as always, please check out our sponsor, Unchained Muscle, at unchainedmuscle.uk. Code RVegas20 saves you 20% at checkout. Also, if you shop in the mental charity section, a portion of anything you buy goes towards mental health charity. And that's including tank tops, gym bags, hats, shaker bottles, shorts, leggings, whatever you might need for your gym life. And of course, I want you all to shop in Insane Labs. Our Vegas 30 saves you 50%. Pre-workouts, BCAAs, protein powders, testosterone boosters, glutamine, creatine, whatever you need for your gym needs. I've never looked better, I've never felt better, and it's all thanks to Insane Labs. Check out the link in the description of the show, and we'll catch you next time on All Bets Are Off.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Do you like sports, interactive polls, friendly banter from two guys that probably shouldn't even be on the microphone doing this stuff anyways? Well, if you do, then you're in luck. Us two knuckleheads, Brandon and myself, comprise the Listen In Podcast. That's right, Listen In, the podcast. We're talking sports, we're talking news, we're talking topical things, we're talking all sorts of things, my babies. And you are all invited to listen in right here on the Gear Radio Network.